Today we're going to learn how to make the unit circle. The first thing that we want to do is we are going to put in all of our degrees. So starting with the ones that most of us already know, we're going to go, this starts at 0, and then up here at the top we have 90 degrees, and then over here we have 180 degrees. Down at the bottom is 270 degrees, and when you wrap back up, this is 360 degrees. The next thing we're going to mark is our 45-degree angles. So we know 45 degrees cut in half this 90-degree angle, and so in the middle of each of our portions of the unit circle here are 45 degrees. And so if you start at 0 and we add 45, we get 45. When you add another 45, you get back to 90. We add another 45 and you get to 135. Add another 45, you get to 180. Another 45, we get to 225. Another 45 is 270. Another 45 is 315. And then when you add another 45, we get back to 360. Next, we'll put in all of our 30-degree angles. And so again, starting at 0, this first one is 30. And that would make sense that that's 30 because 30 comes before 45. When you add another 30 to this, you get 60, which is the next blank. We add another 30, you get to 90. Another 30, we get to 120. Another 30, we get to 150. Another 30 is 180. Another 30 is 210. Another 30 is 240. We add another 30, we get 270. Another 30 is 300. Another 30 is 330. And then we end up back at 360. The next thing I would like us to mark is what these ordered pairs are at each of our 0, 90, 180, and 270 markings. Since we're talking about a unit circle from here to here, this point right here, that is 1 unit. And so on our ordered pair, this would be going to the right 1 and we're going up 0. And remember, this is like our X and our Y value. So going up here, this would be at the point 0, +1. Going to the left, that is at -1, 0. And then going down is at 0, -1. Now, in order to figure out what each of these ordered pairs are, we've actually had a lot of practice with this throughout this unit. But what we are talking about here is we're wanting to figure out what is this ordered pair here. And this line that's representing 30 degrees is that this angle from here, from our initial side to that terminating side, right here, this is 30 degrees. And so we are trying to figure out what that point is. And so we know that this is a unit circle, so this right here is 1 unit. We are trying to figure out the length on the X and then the length on the Y in order to get to that point. So we can do that by using our little worksheet that I have here printed for you. And so this first triangle here that we're looking at, our reference angle is 30 degrees. That's 90, and then the other angle will be 60 degrees. Now, we know with our 30, 60, 90 triangles, if this side is 1 unit, we should be able to figure out the rest of the sides because we can label them with our A's, how we had before. And so across from the 30 is our A value. Across from the 60 is our A√3. And across from 90 is 2A. And so if, right here, if 2A equals 1, I'm going to write this here to the side, 2A equals 1, we divide by 2, we know that A equals 1/2. We also know here for the A√3 that that would be 1/2 √3, which we would write as √3 over 2. And so for our ordered pair right here, the x value, the x length right here, is our root 3 over 2. And our y length is 1/2. Now we're going to go to the next triangle here in a minute, but we know about all the reference angles on this triangle. And this reference angle right here is also 30 degrees. And if we were to look at the 30-degree triangle over here, it just flips from this triangle. So this would be 30 here, this is 60, this is 90. We already did all this work, and so we know that the length here across from the 60 is root 3 over 2. We know that the length across from the 30 is 1/2, and then of course that's our 1 unit circle. The difference though here when we're going to this point is that on the x-axis it is going left. And so this is going to be negative root 3 over 2, and it's going up positive 1/2. And you can see that on the unit circle. This is going negative and that is positive. Each one of these reference angles, this angle right here, also 30 degrees. This angle right here, also 30 degrees. And so we are able to put those ordered pairs in each of those, but just paying attention to what the x and y values are. And so for this 30-degree reference angle, the x would be what? So again, it's going left, so you should have written or said negative root 3 over 2. And then the y, it's also going down. So this ordered pair, it's going left and down, and so that would be a negative 1/2. For this 30-degree reference angle over here, again, the x, this time the x is going positive, so that's a positive root 3 over 2, and then it's going down for the y, which is a negative 1/2. Okay, so then our next triangle that we're looking at is with our 45-degree angle. So this is this triangle that we're trying to figure out this point, what is my x and y value? And this reference angle is from here to here, which is 45 degrees. And so if we take our worksheet out again, here we have 45 degrees. And this is our 90, and this is 45. We know that on all of these, we're working with a unit circle with a value of 1. And so based on that, we know that each of these sides are A, and then our unit circle, that is representing A root 2. And so if we do some math there, A root 2 equals 1. And solve for A, we would divide by root 2 to both sides. And so A equals 1 over root 2, but we can't have a root in the denominator, and so we would rationalize the denominator by multiplying by root 2 to both the top and the bottom. And when I do that, I end up with root 2 over 2. So that means the x and the y, both of those sides, are root 2 over 2. And so again, the distance on the x-axis that we're going here is root 2 over 2, and the distance going on the y is also root 2 over 2. For all of our 45-degree angles, these ordered pairs will all be root 2 over 2. They will just change depending on the direction that they're going. So in this case, the x value, if on the x-axis we're going left, so our x is negative root 2 over 2, and the y is positive root 2 over 2 because it's going up. So this is going left, which is negative, up, positive. For this 45-degree angle, it's going left and down. So both of them are negative. Negative root 2 over 2 and negative root 2 over 2. For this 45-degree angle, we're going right for the x and down, so positive, negative. So the x is positive root 2 over 2, and then the y is negative root 2 over 2. Next, we are going to look at our 60-degree angles. And so if we draw this time, we are looking at this right here. And so this reference angle is 60 degrees. So on our unit circle worksheet, if this right here is 60 degrees, and we have 30 degrees and 90 degrees, we already did this work down here. We know that the 60-degree side will end up being root 3 over 2. So that means right here is root 3 over 2. Across from my 30-degree side, we know it is 1/2. And again, we're dealing with our 1 unit circle. So for this ordered pair, on the x, we are going positive 1/2. So from here to here, that's going 1/2. And you can see the distance does look 1/2. Okay, and then it's going up root 3 over 2. So for each of the 60-degree angles, and again, this is like the reference angle of 60 degrees, they all will have the same ordered pairs, except for negatives will change based on the direction. And so this one, it's going left, so the x value is negative 1/2, and the y value is positive root 3 over 2. Going down here to quadrant 3, on the x it's going negative, and the y it's going negative. And so we have a negative 1/2 and a negative root 3 over 2. Both of them are negative. And then here in quadrant 4, we are going positive x, negative y. So the positive x value is 1/2, and then it's negative root 3 over 2. Now these other lines, if you're wondering what these are, we're going to learn about radians later. And so we'll end up adding radians also to our unit circle. But at this point right now, we are just going to be focusing on the degrees and what each of these are. So again, it's important to recognize that we're dealing with our reference angles and what the values are for x and y. And also pay attention to if things are positive and negative. Another helpful thing that you might want to do, because we're going to be using all this information later, is label every single ordered pair as x and y, because as we are doing our work, that will be helpful. So I'm going to go through and mark x and y on each ordered pair so that it's a quick reference later. Don't cover up any of your negatives though. You want to make sure you know what is negative and what is positive. Another thing that might be helpful for you to write down and remember is that sine always represents, and you can't see what I just wrote there. Let me just move this down here. That sine always represents your y value. Cosine always represents our x value, and then tangent always represents your y over x values. So all this will make doing a lot of the problems that we're doing in this unit a little easier once you have that information.